Good morning, everybody. It is a Saturday, March 1, 2025, and it's beautiful outside. I'm Peter Boyles. This is 710 KNUS. We are Denver's talk station. Weather goes like this: sunny, warm, and 67 degrees. Mild 64 on Sunday, and Monday it is going to be 60 degrees. This is one of these shows that sort of fell into my lap. Sitting in studio or saying good morning. Please say good morning to Darcy Schoening's with us. It's good morning. Good to have you here. Thank you for doing the show.
Good morning, Peter. Thank you so much for having me.
It is my pleasure, but I got to tell you how this came together. It's like you're grinning. I think you know. Last Saturday, Rich Wyatt came in here. He's now the head of the Jefferson County Republican Party. So the show's over, and he's talking about people that he thought would be a good fit on the show. He said, "Do you know who Darcy Schoening is?" And I said, "No, I don't." He said, "Well, she's running for Colorado Republican Party chair." And I said, "Well, that's a job Dave Williams has." Well, Dave may step aside, and now Dave has stepped aside. So I was really busy Wednesday morning, and Billy and Jeff, here we go, were at the IHOP, and our favorite newscaster is Kyle Clark. And without further ado, this is what Kyle Clark said about what happened. Now, notice when you do this, and this is when I listen to this, Kyle doesn't talk about call letters. He doesn't talk about anything like that. It's just these horrible conservatives. And so, ladies and gentlemen, this is Kyle Clark speaking about Jeff and Billy and Darcy and what happened in an IHOP on Wednesday. So let's go, Adam, if you would.
Like many families, the Colorado Republican Party tends to have its fights and meltdowns in public. Today, one faction of the party served another faction of the party with a lawsuit at an IHOP restaurant. As diners in Greenwood Village enjoyed the breakfast faves combo, the house scramble, and the pancake of the month, one candidate for the Colorado GOP chair dropped a double stack of litigation on the plate of a rival. This stems from the Republican Civil War over whether to replace current state chairman Dave Williams, who is accused of misusing party funds for his failed GOP primary bid for Congress and for the hassle he created for Colorado Republicans with his call to burn all pride flags. But back to the IHOP, home of the new spicy shredded beef anytime tacos, where the spicy lawsuit served this morning shreds the Republicans who tried unsuccessfully to force out Chairman Williams. She got Darcy Schoening, current party leader who's running for chair in next month's elections, who served papers this morning on Britta Horn, a rival candidate for chair who was part of the uprising. They were both at the IHOP for interviews with a local talk radio show doing a live broadcast from the Pancake House. Neither woman waffled when I reached out to him today. Schoening says Horn stole money from party donors. Horn called it a frivolous attack. You may recall the Colorado GOP has a bit of a history of airing its grievances at random businesses in the suburbs. In 2022, we dubbed it the Boot Barn Rebellion, when the faction of the GOP that's now in control was on the outside. They got turned away from the Republican Party offices, so they stood in the parking lot of the Western Wear Outfitter nearby, hollering that their party leaders were whores.
We have a Republican Party that is full of whores. They've not held to the U.S. Constitution. And then you wonder why these can't win a race.
Those Boot Barn rebels now lead the Colorado Republican Party, leading us to this morning's IHOP dust-up. So if you're buying boots or breakfast in the suburbs and you hear ruckus, might just be Colorado Republicans working things out.
Kyle Clark talking about our guest in studio. It's amazing. Darcy Schoening's with us, and that was Kyle Clark's. Notice no call letters, no names, no. Except I got to believe this: that if I was a manager or an owner of IHOP, I'd really be glad. He's really selling the menu, isn't he?
It's like a commercial for IHOP.
All right. So what was that? I wasn't there, and I didn't hear it with Jeff and Billy. I've talked to so many people about what happened, and so many people have called me about what. And the fact that I cut that promo that you were going to be with me, this was prior to the great dust up. So I was up in Weld County yesterday with Steve. It's interesting with friends up there. Steve Wells is up there, and of course the sheriff is up there, and these guys are all big listeners. And so driving back, I called Chuck Bonnewell, who we both know, and Chuck's my publisher. And I said, Chuck, explain to me, soup to nuts, what this is about. So I got Chuck's entire working definition. So I'm going to turn to you. What the hell's going on?
Sure. So are you asking specifically what's going on with that lawsuit?
You pick and play. We got an hour. Go
Sure.
ahead.
Okay. So it was last fall when a group tried to overthrow the current Colorado GOP leadership, which I'm sure Chuck explained to you. They are not happy with Dave, Hope, and Anna. So Eli Bremer, Todd Watkins, Britta Horn, and Christy Burton Brown launched an initiative to have a meeting that was not sanctioned by the Colorado GOP to overthrow the leadership. They went ahead with the help of a lot of elected officials and held a non-sanctioned meeting. And they said, we elect Eli Bremer as chair, Britta Horn as vice chair. I don't remember who was secretary. And this is the new leadership. And it was so bold that, even on social media, they said, this is the new Colorado GOP. While Dave and Hope and Anna are the existing Colorado GOP. And they said, no, you're not. So Eli Bremer, Britta Horn, Todd Watkins, and KBB launched a lawsuit to nullify the current leadership and to ask a judge to say that the leadership is not seated properly and that they're the new leadership based upon the meeting that they held.
Mike Button, what judge or where do you get status to do that?
Well, anybody can sue anybody.
We know that. Yeah.
Because they're members of the Colorado GOP.
Okay.
They are members.
Right.
They have that right to, if they're not satisfied with bylaws or a XCOM determination, they can go and petition to have their case heard in court. It doesn't have to be heard, but this judge decided to go ahead and hear it in El Paso County Court.
Okay.
And that judge determined that the bylaws were followed correctly by the current GOP leadership
Under Dave,
Hope, and Anna, and that the lawsuit by Bremer, Horn, Watkins was frivolous. And so the current GOP leadership would stand, and the lawsuit by that side, that group of people, was thrown out. And so the judge ruled in the favor of leadership. But all of that to say that while that was going on, the party had to expend over $100,000 to hold on to their leadership seats because they
hiring attorneys.
Great. They had to defend themselves in court. And so while I'm not a party to the lawsuit, I work for the current leadership. And I did know that, these people don't want to be served this lawsuit because they don't want to have to pay this immense amount of money back. And I realized that Ms. Horn was going to be at IHOP. And I said to myself, this would be a good time to serve her. Yeah.
Self.
Yeah. And it's nothing personal.
Were you a guest on the show as well?
I was a guest on the Jeff and Bill show, yes.
Earlier than Britta was?
Yes, I was on before Britta was.
Okay, all right.
Yes, so I decided that the right thing to do by the party, and especially by the party's donors, would be to go ahead and get this served. I don't have anything personal against Britta. I've spent time with Britta. I welcome her to help us in the party. But when a group of people tries to usurp leadership and they cost the party money, we have to somehow get that money back or figure out some type of alternative solution to make the party whole again. And like I said, that's a lot of money. So I don't think Britta should be kicked out of the party. I don't think Eli should be kicked out of the party. But donors sent that money for candidates to be elected, for us to fight for conservative causes. They didn't donate money for lawsuits.
And that's the gist.
That's the gist of that lawsuit. We just have to put those funds back into the Colorado GOP.
Because you did this off camera, so I wasn't there, and I went back and looked at the tape, and of course it had happened off off camera. I've talked to Billy and talked to Jeff a little bit, but talked to Billy a lot. How did she react when you came up to her and hung the paper?
Well, I do have a video of the incident because I confronted her at the bathroom.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, where she was first. And I handed her the stack of papers, and I said, Britta Horn, you've been served. And she kind of nudged them, threw them onto the floor.
Dropped them.
Yes. So which is understandable. And so I picked those papers up, and as she was sitting next to Mr. Hunt, I just set them down next to her, and I said, here's your papers.
So you guys were off air when that happened,
Yes.
I think.
Yes, I didn't do it on air.
So how did she take the papers with her when she left?
I don't know. Probably not. I would assume not. But she was properly served. So, I mean, there's no getting around it now.
So what happens next?
Well, she's been served. The others are in the process of being served. I believe one or two of them was over the last week. And now a judge or the court will set a court date for us to try to recoup some of those funds.
So what you want is, if I understand this correctly, you want the money back.
Correct. I want the money back into the Colorado GOP account. As somebody who, I'm the director of special initiatives for the Colorado GOP, it's painstaking. It's hard to raise money. And
that's one of my questions, yeah.
Yeah, and I raised a lot of that money. I worked diligently to put money into our coffers to help candidates get elected. And some of the donors are my friends. And I have a hard time looking at somebody and saying, sorry that you wrote a check for $1,000 and it went to a lawsuit. That's just not right. So we either have to put the money back, or leadership, future leadership, and donors and the voting members have to find some mechanism to make the party whole again, whatever it may be.
I'm working with a number of $100,000. If you just joined us, in the eye of the storm, Darcy Schoening is with us. And since that happened with Jeff and Bill, now Dave Williams has resigned or said he's not going to go for another term. And maybe I should ask that question first. What does that do to the face of the Republican Party? And if I've read all of this correctly, your hat's in the ring.
Yes.
Okay.
So the face of the Republican Party is not determined by our leadership. It's the only thing leadership determines is how effective we're going to be, whether we're going to get candidates elected, whether we're going to advance our issues. Dave has been a great conservative leader for the party. I have loved working for him, and I believe that I will serve as the next Colorado GOP chair because of the work that I've put in, how hard I stand for our values, and that's what we need. We just need to make sure that we elect a doer to this seat.
There's a rumor that Dave is going to get a job with the Trump administration. Can you add to that or say anything?
If I could tell you, I would. I don't know yet. If he hasn't said that out loud, there's probably reasons for that. I just don't know.
So is it a good thing or a bad thing for Dave to step aside from the Republican Party?
Well, as long as I don't think, of course, we'll be sad to see
because the real battles took place
inside.
Yes.
Correct. So we'll be sad to see Dave go, but we know that based upon the reorg meetings over the last several weeks, that there will be an America First grassroots leader in that seat. It will not be Britta Horn. So we will be leading with somebody that is more similar to Dave or myself, and that's what's most important to the Colorado GOP.
Who elects the chair?
So the chair is elected by the State Central Committee, which is about 480 voting members.
Okay.
And they're comprised of, for those who don't know, the counties, their chair, vice chair, secretary, and bonus members.
So when will that vote take place?
That's March 29th.
So that's coming up.
It's very soon.
And how many names, or I've read 3 names, is that accurate? Or
so far there are 4 names.
4 names?
And then some rumored names. So there's myself, there's Britta Horn, Kevin McCarney, Lori Sane, and then there's a couple more rumored that may jump in.
And somebody is going to be steering the Republican Party thick and thin. We open up the phone lines now, 303-696-1971, 303-696-1971. In studio, kind enough to come in, Darcy Schoening, and a lot has happened since the great sit-down in the IHOP. And Dave Williams yesterday afternoon announces that he's not going to seek re-election. And so whatever happens, that's now a wild card. And one of you four or five or six or whatever the number really is, do you want the job?
I want this more than anything I've ever wanted, aside from maybe when I was pregnant and wanted my children to arrive.
All right. So, having said those things, what does the Colorado Republican Party need to do? Because it's what it is.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, first of all, I think that we need to look at the Colorado Republican Party for what it is. You know, it's easy to say, oh, the IHOP dust up and the lawsuits, and, you know, we're so dysfunctional.
That IHOP thing actually was nothing compared to the other things that have happened.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have to remember what the liberal media here in this blue state wants to do to us because, you know, at the end of the day, this is politics. We all have very distinct, very aggressive personalities. We're never going to all get along. So when we talk about unity, coming together, flipping seats, it's really just a matter of having common goals and making those goals work. So my goals for the Colorado GOP, one of them, which I'm very proud of, is my Build Our Benches initiative, which I've been working with donors across the state to build funds for our 2025 school board races. School board races have historically been termed nonpartisan, but they're not.
We know. No,
right. So we don't even have to address that. They're not nonpartisan. I hear everybody continuously mentioning we have to win in 2026. We have to win in 2026. We have to win in 2025 first. We have to flip school board seats. We have to protect our kids. And we have to start building an infrastructure. So that leads me to my second goal. On day one, I want to get in there and I want to build an infrastructure. I excel at that. That's what I did in my prior life before this, is building an infrastructure for companies. So data, processes, things that we can repeat in the next Colorado GOP for generations to come to ensure our success. For example, Greg Lopez running for governor. Mm-hmm. How is he going to be successful if he doesn't have on-point data, if he doesn't know who he's speaking to and how his presence is influencing that population or not to vote for a Republican? So as we build out those processes and that data, and we win more seats in 2025, we create a system, but we also give the donors more confidence.
Can the Republican Party, I was talking to somebody last night, we'll go to the phones in just a minute.
Yeah.
It seems to me, as a tracker of this, when Bill Armstrong, I don't know if you ever knew Bill or around Bill, I was a big fan of Bill Armstrong's, and I used to write for him. I'd write papers for him. And we didn't agree on everything, but he ran this state. I'm being told we got a minute. And he would things, you're running for Congress. You're sitting in that chair over there. And the state was red.
Right.
And when everything came apart with Bill Owens, Nighthorse Campbell, what happened to Tom Tancredo, all that stuff splinters the party.
Yeah.
And then the party seems to come back with, if not the worst candidates possible, some of the worst candidates possible. And now this last election, Donald Trump lost Colorado more the second time than the first time. So we'll set it up there. Calls are here. Music's in the background. In studio, Darcy's here. 710 KNUS, Denver's talk station. I'm Peter Boyles. Beautiful day headed our way. Folks on the phones, stay there. We're coming right back. 710 KNUS. Good tune. Way to pick 'em. Adam's on the con. It's a Saturday morning. It's almost spring weather. March 1, 2025. I heard you're working for the CIA. That's a great line in the song. 710 KNUS, I'm Peter Boyles. Good morning. 67 the high, 64 on Sunday. Sitting in studio with us, she's in the eye of the storm after the great IHOP dust-up, which is really a great conversation off air. Darcy Schoening is with us, and we'll go to the phones in just a minute. But we were talking about the Republican Party going back to the the days of Bill Armstrong, and I'm a huge Bill Armstrong fan. I wrote for him, and I'd go out to his office when he was at Christian University, and we'd sit in his office and talk. I mean, he was a brilliant, brilliant guy, and he understood radio and TV. They owned, they owned media outlets. And then Bill Owens was governor, and Nighthorse Campbell, and then everything all of a sudden just goes. And the Republicans, I don't think, with the exception of winning a seat on the CU Board of Regents.
Yeah.
Tell me a statewide office that your party's won.
Well, we haven't.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't won
Now, why?
a statewide office.
Why?
Well, several factors. I mean, we know that poll lists and the Democrats, they had an aggressive approach to turning Colorado blue. And the Republicans were shocked, much like we were when we found out what the teachers' unions were doing behind our backs. It was a very similar situation to where we didn't really know what they had done until they had done it. I mean, that's why we call it the heist. It's they heisted Colorado. So there's that. And then once they turned it blue, let's be honest, Democrats attract more Democrats. So we then were in a cycle where only people who are liberal are going to move here. I mean, good, hardworking Republicans are not going to move to the state of Colorado.
Or won't run for office.
They definitely won't run for office. They'll look at you and say, you've got to be crazy. I mean, who's going to run for office in Denver? You're a sacrificial lamb.
No, I just wrote a column about taking Make America Great Again and saying, make Denver great again. But part of the piece that I wrote was, nobody wants it. Who wants to go in and have Cal Clark show a picture of them in the 6th grade in blackface?
Right. I mean, and that's what we run into with the liberal media. And we can't let them batter us. As you just said, Stapleton was like that. We can't be afraid. If we're afraid, then we may as well not have a party. So we need elected officials. We need candidates that are not afraid to stand up. And one of the things that I preach really, really often, we're not just going to suddenly wake up one day and be like, look, we've got a great candidate running in Denver, and that's going to be enough to flip the vote. It's just not. So when we look at, why did Trump win this last election? Because people were tired of Democrat decay.
I agree.
Of their ridiculousness. A lot of people didn't even like Trump's personality, but they said, okay, he can get us out of this mess. Well, Colorado's no different. How many people are disgusted, tired with 16th Street Mall, with the illegals, with Aurora, with the gang shootings? So we as conservatives have to make it a point to not just say we've got great candidates, but hey, look. Guess what? If you live in Denver or you live in Aurora, you live in a mess. But if you're in Douglas County, if you're in Monument, things look a lot better.
Sure.
Our streets are cleaner. Our kids have better test scores. There's less car thefts. There's less gangs. So we use those conservative areas to say to unaffiliated and to say to Democrats, this is what it means to be a Republican.
But the elections are won or lost, but won in the population centers. And all right, here we go. Let's go to the phones. We have one line open. We'll start with Michael in Denver. Michael, you're on a radio show. Our guest in studio is Darcy Schoening. Thanks for calling.
Thank you, Peter, and good morning, Darcy.
Morning.
Just a couple of technical questions about the service. Who is the plaintiff in the lawsuit?
The plaintiffs are the party officers.
Okay, so you are one of those people?
No, sir.
Oh, you're not. You're not currently an officer.
I'm not a party to the lawsuit.
Okay, very good. Well, that answers that question. So I was a candidate for the Republican Party in Denver, House District 2, this last session. I raised the most money that had ever been raised, over $40,000. I received the most votes that had ever been provided to a Republican candidate, over almost 15,000. There is no way to win in Denver. It's just not possible.
Is this Mike?
Mike DeManna?
Is it Mike DeManna? Yeah.
Yes,
hey, brother.
Yep.
Hey, man. Good morning.
Hi, Pete. It's just not possible. I actually got my Democratic Socialist candidate, Mr. Woodrow, to actually come out and debate me in person. Now, why he did that, I don't know, unless he thought he might have had some problem, but that's never happened. And I can just tell you that the people that watched it were very encouraged about my chances. That's why we raised the kind of money we raised. I got beat by 15 or 18,000 votes.
Yeah.
It wasn't even close.
Yeah.
So I can't tell you what the key is, but I'm not afraid. I wasn't afraid to run. I'm happy to give people a choice.
Mike,
but Darcy, I think you're right. Until the people in Denver are sick and tired of what's going on, they're not going to do anything about it.
The column that I wrote, no big deal, but I believe what happened in this country was on a list of things of what was going on, including changing names of mountains and military installations and having your son out there beating up some little girl on a soccer field. I mean, it was a litany of things that won for Donald Trump. It wasn't just one or two issues. And also the fact that Joe Biden had no idea what time it was and Harris was who she was. But the pot was right. The pot's right now. This guy who's the mayor of the city right now is, I mean, each time you think you can't get a worse mayor, you get one.
Yeah.
No, seriously, it's a heart attack. Yeah. You thought well, the last mayor, wow, was he bad? No, am I making this up, Mike?
No, absolutely not. That's absolutely true. I'll be interested. First of all, I don't even know why he's going to Washington. That's going to be an embarrassment for the city, but we'll see what happens. However, my campaign slogan was very simple. If you like things the way they are, keep Stephen Woodrow. Yeah. If you want to change them, vote for me. You know what the answer was? We like things the way they are.
Well, I mean, I still say, what happened in this country in the 4 years of the Bidens was election voting behavior is always interesting to read, and I've mentioned probably every week this book, Shattered, that I tell people you got to read it because these guys set out to talk about why and how Hillary Clinton was going to shatter the glass ceiling. And it turned out it was exactly the opposite, and they wrote exactly the opposite, that they would go into Indiana and go into Wisconsin and Ohio, and they'd find, working guys, working men and women, and they'd say, you told us to stick with you. We did. Now the Walmart's closed. I'm out of work. My kid has a drug habit, and now you're calling me a racist.
Right.
And people didn't like Hillary Clinton, and they beat her. And the same thing happened. People had enough of whatever this stuff is, and maybe, just maybe, and you'd be more apt to be able to answer it, maybe people are going to look around and say, that's about enough. And there has to be what historians call the man on horseback. There has to be somebody show up. And, Mike, you may be the man, or there's a woman, no, I'm serious, it's a heart attack, that runs for mayor and make Denver great again.
Well, that's where we need to start, in my opinion.
Yeah,
if you cannot elect a different mayor in Denver, you're never going to win Denver.
Yeah.
So, and the other thing just quickly about the party and the infighting. I was really disappointed, Darcy, and I'll tell you this because I know who you are, and you would know me if we were talking to one another personally. There were other ways to serve this lawsuit. People could have called up Britta, asked her to accept service. They would eventually hire lawyers. The service could have gone through the lawyers. But to do it the way it was done, I just have to tell you, it is not the way to go. That's just my opinion. I'm one vote on the state central committee. It's going to be an interesting March 29th. When is the call going to come out, Darcy? Do you know?
That I do not know. It should be coming out. Well, we're not even. Well, we're in March now.
What does the
official call for the reorg meeting?
Oh, okay.
So I would think it would come out in a couple of weeks. We're at March 1st now, so yeah, probably in a week or two would be my guess.
Okay. But you're sure it's on the 29th?
Yes.
Mike, what's your take on what the next cycle is going to be like in the state of Colorado or the city of Denver?
Well, it went just as you said earlier. When you think it can't get worse, it does.
It does.
I mean, why our mayor has decided to impose a 20% charge on eating out in Denver is beyond my comprehension.
Yeah.
But he simply, I guess he just doesn't believe. You know, I live in a part of Denver in House District 2. I can drive, or I can walk, literally, across Colorado Boulevard and be in Glendale and not have to put up with any of this crap. And that's what's going to happen. This city is going to go to whatever. But
no, it is. It's doing it.
I was born here. I'm a fourth-generation Denverite. I could tell you stories. You and I could sit down and talk for hours about how Denver used to be. It was a great city. It was a wonderful city.
Oh, absolutely.
And these Democrats have run it into the ground.
That's right.
And you're right, Darcy. People are leaving.
It's disgusting. So for those who don't know, I lived in Denver. I lived at 8th and Corona with my 2 kids and literally abandoned it. I didn't even finish selling my condo back before I hightailed it out of there back to El Paso County. There homeless people sleeping at the back door. You know, the kids were always asking me, why are there naked people passed out on the sidewalk with needles? But the final straw, I was just minding my own business, walking to the grocery store, and some drugged out homeless person just ran up to me and started throwing punches, punching me in the face, punching me in the side. Luckily, my dog was there to protect me. But that night, I called my parents and I said, I'm out. I'm leaving this city. This city cares more about criminals and a woke agenda than it cares about my children, and I'm out.
This mayor, if you look at this mayor, not RFK Jr., but rather the original RFK, if you noticed how and this guy is channeling him, he's always got the white shirt on, he's always got the sleeves rolled up, he's got the mussed hair, he's got a black tie 3/4 of the way pulled down. He is channeling Bobby Kennedy.
Yeah.
He wants to be, but what you said about where you live, Michael, I need to tell you that Glendale is the true Magic Kingdom. It's
no
not,
doubt about it.
It's not Disney World. It's Glendale. Glendale is the Magic Kingdom. I write for the newspaper, and I know they're listening this morning, but that is the Magic Kingdom.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That truly is. And and I was just out of the state, and there, you go to places, there's no homeless people, there's no garbage. They don't put up with it.
No.
They run you out.
No.
And
this
idiot.
I was just in Washington D.C. for the inauguration. Washington D.C. is run by a Democratic mayor. There are homeless people. There are people sleeping in tents near the Washington Monument.
Oh, sure.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody's doing anything about it.
But how did it happen? And again, Joseph Heller, who wrote Catch-22, his second novel was entitled Something Happened.
Yeah.
And I've always stolen that line because he always said, well, something happened.
Yeah.
And I really think it was a series of events that began back with Federico Pena and Roy Romer, and incrementally, systematically, it moved forward. And now it is what it is. And it was Wellington Webb declared Denver Sanctuary City. We did that billboard campaign, put the billboards up, and boy, did we learn a lesson with those billboards. But but they did it. And
you remember the sign on the city and county building from our last mayor? We welcome immigrants.
Oh yes, yeah.
Well, there you go.
Well, we put up too. We did the fundraising, and it said, "Relax, you made it."
That's awesome.
That's
great.
They brought smoke on us for that, but I don't know, and I know people that are leaving. I mean, some of my big time friends. If I said their names, they're gone. They're not coming back.
Right.
And something has to happen, Darcy. Something has to happen, Mike. And if it can, it's like when they got to that moment. Whatever you thought of Trump, you knew you couldn't take 4 more years of Harris.
Yeah.
I mean, I really think that happened. Yeah.
We're getting there.
Talk to people in Denver.
Yeah.
Talk to people in Denver. They love to and did vote for Harris. They just don't get it, Pete. They just don't. I don't know what we're going to have to do, but
I don't either.
Whatever it is, we've got to continue to stand up. And believe me, I'll stand up, and I know you will too. Good luck, Darcy.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks,
and
Mike.
You ran a great campaign.
Yes,
Thank you.
303-696-1971. Darcy Schoening is with us. the city of Denver, the state of Colorado. The only hope really is, I mean, the Democrats aren't going to pull this out. The only hope is the GOP, but this GOP is so fragmented. I said to Bonnewell, we were talking, I said, members of the Republican Party hate each other more than they dislike the Democrats. True or false?
I think it's false. But we don't show it in
and
our
I
actions.
Don't. I don't.
I think it's. But we have. I mean, we have to work on common goals. If we do that, then it won't appear that way as much as it does right now.
All right, we're coming back. Stay here. 710 KNUS. (710) KNUS, Saturday morning. Good morning. I'm Peter Boyles. Good show, jam lines, open lines coming up. David Ellis. You heard me talk about David forever, and jewelers who get a fortune in cash and secure appraisals from David all the time on valuables that they tucked away in their homes. And it's true, so let me show you other reasons to see my friend, just in case you don't have a Rolex watch, rare coins, or a silver set. Go to David Ellis for all the meaningful gift-giving occasions. David Ellis Jewelers, just the right items for just the right folks. He's there now. He's there 7 days a week. An antique watch, an emerald pendant, a gold necklace, a diamond ring. This is a trusted man. Been buying precious metals and antiques in Colorado forever. I've known David for, I forget how many years now, 25, 30 years. Gold necklaces, diamond rings. Trusted jewelers, been buying precious metals and antiques in Colorado for decades. He is my guy. Visit David Ellis. See for yourself 7 days a week. Look for the black awning on the corner of 3rd and Clayton and Cherry Creek. Explore DavidEllisJewelers.com. Ask for my friend David at 303-322-8779, 303-322-8779, and tell David that Peter Boyle sent you. In studio, and this really pops up from a Rich Wyatt interview, but then what happened in the IHOP with Jeff and Billy? Her name is interesting. You'll hear the name more and more and more. Her name is Darcy Schoening, and she is now running for the seat to be the head of the GOP. And let's just start here. We go to Brian in Arvada. Brian, you're on the show with Darcy. Good morning. Thank you.
Hey, good morning, both. I'm a native of Colorado, Pete. We talked about it before, and you know, in the 90s, I'll date myself. I'm in college in the 90s, and, you know, I'd have friends from out of state going to college with me. We'd go down to Denver, and they would just remark on how clean 16th Street Mall was, how clean the city was, how nice it was and safe it was. And now it's just it's a trash heap. And a couple years before COVID, I went down to watch a Rockies game with my kids. They were younger at the time, elementary school. And a homeless person, I wouldn't give him $1. I literally didn't have cash. I told him that. You got cash, gets in my face, and my kids are holding on to my pant leg like, is this guy going to hurt us? He's literally a foot away from me. We had to kind of sprint, you know, kind of jog a little away from him, and he couldn't run very fast. But he's chasing me down Blake Street. And I said, you know what? I'm done with Denver. I'm done. And that's when, you know, Stephen Tubbs made a big stink about it with Denver in decay. It sucks, Peter. It really does. And to watch this beautiful city go to hell, it just, what do we do? But these people vote for these people. Yeah. And what else can we do?
Well, that's the question that faces Darcy and faces really any reasonable human being, is how do you throw the switch? And I think you saw it in November why it happened. And I don't think it happened necessarily because of that man, more than it just happened with people who were just fed up. And he offered the way out.
You're right. And we're on the Portland, we're on the San Francisco model. My wife went to Portland a few years ago on a business trip. She's driving to the hotel, the Uber. She's like with her friends, where should we go to dinner tonight? And the Uber driver literally said, nowhere. Stay at your hotel. And they're all excited. And he's like, I've been here 25 years. He said, I've been Ubering for 5. Don't go downtown.
You know the story
Not
when
at night.
Mark Crowley, myself, and Stefan went to Vancouver where they have legal injection. It was a vision of hell.
I remember that.
They were trying to bring it here. We've stopped it twice. We stopped it twice, but the Democratic Party, I don't know for the man, but plenty of Democrats, they bring that. They have the places already staked out where you're going to be able to shoot junk, and I'm thinking these people were really legitimately out of their mind. The history lesson, as there always is, the Opium Wars in China. Yeah. The British and the Americans destroyed the Chinese Empire with legalizing drugs. I mean, it's like, what's new?
Why do you think they're pushing fentanyl in here? China
they're getting even.
From these China factories.
They're getting even.
Come on,
they're getting
destroying. The only way to destroy a country is from within, and same with a city. Yeah. And to your guest, I left the GOP after I say they torpedoed Tom Credo. I'm sick of hearing about from the Dick what not to do Wadhams.
Yeah,
he's coming.
We have to bring. Oh, great. Well, I won't be listening, Pete, because all he can tell you is what not to do. He can't tell you what to do. Well, and so stop living the glory years and give us solutions and not just Dave Williams this, Dave Williams that. I'm just sick of it, Pete. We need to bring people together from the MAGA and from the center. And that's what someone needs to do in Colorado, or we'll lose every day.
Dave's now gone, and Dave was a lightning rod. Could we agree? I mean,
he had more success last year than KPP and Priscilla Ron. So what? Results matter to me.
But let me ask you a question.
What?
No, hold on a minute. Because Donald Trump lost by a greater amount the second time than he did the first time. So what does that say?
I'm not trying to save the presidency. I'm trying to save the state. He made more grounds in the state than he did those ladies.
You're going to say
facts matter.
Listen to me. It isn't going to matter. But what I am asking, come on. Hold on a minute.
But at least it was something, though.
No, they lost more. They lost by more.
Dave Williams, we gained seats in congressional districts and also in the state house, more than they did.
But they gained rhinos. that was the part I want to ask. Let me ask a question, and then you can.
Well, that's what Dick.
Well, could you mind? Do you mind? I want you to stay on the show, but come on, give me a. So and I was told yesterday that I'm not one of Dave's favorite people, which was a heartbreak, but. When he said stuff about burning gay flags and, the kinds of things that he said, and, he goes on a ballot, like, let's go Brandon. Well, that's not a guy that I think straight folks are going to take seriously.
I agree. I'm not a Dave Williams fan.
No, I'm not asking you. I'm asking Darcy, but thank you.
Okay.
Well, as far as the email goes, Dave's intentions on that email were good. He's always had the best intentions for the state of Colorado, for the conservative cause. I would have worded it a little bit differently. I would have done some things differently. But at the end of the day, that's part of being a leader, is making those tough calls. And as I've told log cabin Republicans, because I would have worded that somewhat differently.
Log cabins are gay Republicans.
Yeah, because I would have worded that differently. My promise as state chair is, I'm heated. I'm passionate, like we all are. I don't want to use one word that goes out into the media and changes the trajectory of our party. Now, I don't want to be battered by the left. I don't want Democrats to put me in a corner and say, oh, you can't say that, you're racist. But I do want my communications team to eye everything and to say, yes, this message is on par with our party, or no, it's not, so that we know all the time the message is as good as it possibly can be and it's not doing damage.
But isn't that, back to both you and to the caller, and I put that in a piece, that some human being, male or female, that wants to really get their hands involved or get their hands wet and get into the race, and then somebody pulls up a picture in the 6th grade, they got a blackface. And people today are so, and rightfully so, because you can destroy someone's life, people are really, I'll use the word jumpy, but edgy about getting involved in politics, with the exception, and you're right, about the people who get to pass. First of all, Brian, I'll give you the last comment, and then we'll give Darcy the last comment.
Sure. And I get fired up, Pete, because I'm just so tired of hearing about the whole problem with the GOP in Colorado is you have to win the center, without losing the right. And you can't, and you have to win the right without losing the center.
Yeah.
Nobody's been able to bridge that gap. But all we have is naysayers every time we want to try to do something different than what hasn't worked. And then that always causes divisions from within. We need somebody, no one's been able to do it since Bill Owens, is bridge the gap between the right and the center.
Actually,
and we have to acknowledge that.
The guy you have to really look to is Bill Armstrong. But last comment, Darcy, please, and we'll get you back.
So, to your point, we do have to bring the party together as much as we possibly can. Like I said earlier, we don't think differently. But as you guys saw in Washington, D.C., I had 300 people at our cocktail party for inauguration, both sides of the party. It's literally just about having common goals and putting everybody together in the same room.
All right.
Well, good luck
open
to
lines.
you.
Thank you, man. A good call. Very much good call. Thank you. Good to meet you. Hang on.
Is your security system really protecting your outdoor business assets? Alarm Detection Systems offers expert solutions that provide peace of mind. Our advanced AI security cameras, on-site speaker warnings, and live operator responses work together to deter intruders as they strike. ADS's cutting-edge technology can prevent theft and vandalism in real time, reducing the number of live guards on site. Go to adsalarm.com to learn more. That's adsalarm.com. A passion to protect since 1968.